Just a few days ago, George Santos was finally booted out of Congress. And it's pretty rare, but he was pretty deserving of it. But was he the most deserving? That's what we're going to ponder here today on the top 10 list. Because Francesca Fiorentini, who joins us now, Francesca,
hi.
Thank you for being here.
So glad to be here.
Glad to have you here as well. You and I have put together a top 10 list of those who perhaps deserve it even more than he did. And why don't you get us started with your number 5?
Yeah, I just want to point out that it took 3 tries to get George Santos out for 23 alleged criminal accounts. And it just goes to show how difficult it is to actually oust someone or hold them accountable in the highest body of, the second highest body of power or the third, depending, I don't know, branches of government, whatever, in this country. And you're just like, yeah, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's the last place you can be employable as just as an open criminal, as a sex offender, as someone who covered up sex offenses. So yeah, I will caveat that by saying 5 is not enough. But I do want to get it going by saying that, God, I think senators hold a greater responsibility than Congress people, of course, terms being longer and whatnot, body being smaller and all that. So I may be focusing on some of them. But Tommy Tuberville, number 1, get this fool out. What is he doing? That's your number 1? That's my number 5.
That's a good one.
My number 5, what is he doing now? What has he ever been doing? He also voted again to not certify the 2020 election. That is part of, I believe, a conspiracy against the government, conspiracy against our democracy, as per Article 14. But also now single-handedly holding up important military appointments and generals. What? Yeah. What is this dude doing? Get him out of there. He should absolutely be expelled. No one person should have that much power. Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's not like he's doing that to draw attention to how Obamacare needs to be strengthened or we need to pass the Green New Deal. That would maybe be one thing. I'm gonna really harm our military for months to prove a point. But the only point is because he's a jackass. That's all it is.
He's against
that's a
woke.
good one.
He's
against woke.
The woke.
That's true. Someone needs to stand up against that.
I think this is a story, John, when you were gone we covered, but he also had no idea what white nationalism is or white supremacy, could not denounce that, didn't understand it. In fact, saw no problem with it. So
I think he doesn't know what it is and can't define it in the same way that a fish doesn't know what water is.
Exactly. 100%.
But anyway, good choice. I have a mix of reasons that people are on my list. Some of them for kind of similar reasons to George Santos, and some for others more like your Tommy Tuberville. So my first one, and also how much I think they deserve it, means they get moved up the list. So my number 5 is the lowest need, and that would be Matt Gaetz.
Yeah.
Not just for him being awful or whatever. And he occasionally, more than some of the others, has kind of accidentally the right position on something. But more if George Santos suffered an ethics investigation for all of his crimes and needs to be kicked out as a result of that, I feel like Matt Gaetz is probably next up in that regard.
Yes.
Because there still has not been a good explanation as to what was going on with the young ladies and the Venmo receipts and him being wrapped up with those weirdos. He hasn't even really tried to defend himself. He hasn't said why he would send those messages and why money was being transferred and all that. So I would love to see an honest investigation by the ethics committee into that. And maybe it would turn out that he's not deserving of it, but I think that some focus definitely deserves it. Also, and he's not the only person on the list is true of. He doesn't want to be in Congress. He wants to have a show on Fox. That's it. So he's wasting space in Congress. He's also making it so that Congress can't even function under normal Republican terms right now. So for a mix of reasons, he's my number 5.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tag on to that and say he'll be my number 4. Gaetz absolutely should have resigned. I mean, resigned in shame is sort of the underlying theme. It goes for every single person, I'm gonna say, and more, but agreed. Gaetz should have been expelled. That is, as soon as that comes out. And again, Republicans versus Democrats, Democrats resign in shame. They do that.
They do.
Whether or not they should have, is another question with homie whose name I'm forgetting right now because I got mom brain. Yes, with Al Franken. But for far less, and Matt Gaetz maybe trafficked a 17-year-old over state lines. And that's just one of many things he's done. And also, he's been the reason he's holding up Congress is because he's obsessed with the idea that the next Speaker of the House should absolve him of any kind of ethics investigation. And will be on his side on that. So turning democracy into his own personal PR game that's somehow more so than the rest. But Gaetz is definitely my number 4.
Yeah. I agree. I like that you pointed out the fact that he's trying to get this protection for his support. It's so Trumpian in that way. For my number 4, I'm going to take a little trip over to the Senate, and this is Ted Cruz. Now, he doesn't have the sort of like really strong evidence of crimes necessarily in the same way that some of the others do, but he more than a lot doesn't care at all about being in the Senate. And I have this antiquated view that being a senator is an important thing, that it's a big opportunity and responsibility that you should care about. But he wants to do a podcast. That's what he wants to do. He wants to do a crappy little podcast with little conservative twerps. That's what he wants. And he can do that. He can go do that. He can film it out of a studio in Cancun. He obviously likes the warm weather. Like, he doesn't actually care about government functioning. And like Tommy Tuberville, he's been perfectly willing to shut down the government over a whole bunch of nonsense. And so he brings a lot of, I think, deserved disrespect on the Senate as an institution. He doesn't even really want to be there. He's taken up a spot that is an especially important one because Texas is such a big state. It's got a lot of people, including a lot of Democrats, that deserve actual, honest, committed representation. He's wasted that spot, so he's my number 4.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good one. And you know what? I'm gonna say it. He's not gonna make my list. He's not, and that just shows like he's so scummy. And he also didn't vote to certify the 2020 election. And he's a senator and has far more responsibility, been in office for far long, deserves it more. Again, I think, great power comes great responsibility, comes great accountability. But he's not even gonna make my list because I just feel like there's some other like tub scum that we need to clean. That's just sort of lower on the sort of rings of scum here. But I think my number 3, and this is such a like, I really want to do like a combo here.
I'll allow it.
I don't know. Okay. I want some double G purging. So I'm going with Gohmert and Gosar together. All right. This is a Tweedledee Tweedledum, Louis Gohmert and Paul Gosar, who absolutely helped not just not certify the 2020 election, but plan the January 6th rally and insurrection. Like, we're with Ali Abdunima, like whatever that dude's name is. Was that his name? No, not Abdunima. Yeah, Ali Abdunima is a guy from Electronic Intifada. He's wonderful. No, Ali Alexander, excuse me. Ali Alexander, who was like bragging about working with them. We know Paul Gosar by his own family. They're like, yeah, he's a Nazi and shouldn't be in power. Forget the violence that he incited against, Representative AOC.
Yeah.
But then Gohmert, like, also again in Texas, like, these guys participated and helped and sent buses and worked with all of the MAGA ralliers on January 6th. They should be out.
Damn it, Francesca.
What?
I'm not gonna change my list, but Gosar was in an early draft in my mind of the list, and he didn't make it in the final 5, and he definitely should be in the final 5. I mean, he's like they're going to find out someday of the things in his basement. He is a dark person.
Yeah.
Damn, now my list is inferior.
He's like, you look at him and you're like, why are you like oozing? Why do you look like the dude from like Men in Black? Who's like wearing a face. Like he's so creepy.
Yeah, so creepy. Spread the video of AOC, being assassinated. God, and then continued to go to like, white supremacist conventions and stuff like that. Like he's an evil guy.
But no, there's so many to go around. So what's your number 3?
Well, yours is better. But my number 3 is another senator and even more of Ted Cruz's issue. Can you guess who it is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's Kirsten Sinema.
The running man. Let's go.
Kirsten Sinema.
Oh, Kirsten Sinema.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna do some Holly action.
Josh Holly. Well, we'll see. But no, for now it's Kirsten Sinema because Kirsten Sinema is does not care at all about being in elected office. Definitely doesn't care about
crime. That's not a crime, John.
You do not get on this list only by having committed crimes. And I would say that simply because our government has chosen to make certain campaign finance things legal doesn't mean that in my heart of hearts, they're not crimes. She has demonstrated more than anyone else that you do not even have to even pretend to give a damn about a single person who voted for you. You get in, and then that's it. You can do anything you want. You could go off and work at a winery or whatever. You can clearly be setting up your future career as a lobbyist. You can tell all the people who worked for you to go F themselves. You can do total 180 on every policy. You can spit in our eye with your thumb down from stopping our minimum wage from going up. You can do all that, and you don't have to care because we're not really a democracy in a whole bunch of different ways. And you just get in there and then you're fine for most of a decade. You're fine. And I say, screw that. I say, get her out of there as an indication to all the others that once you make it past the election, that's not it. You're not good for the rest of the time. And remember, this happened on the state level too. I forgot the name of the woman who campaigned on being pro reproductive freedoms and got in, switched parties, and helped to outlaw abortion. We cannot have a functioning democracy if you can just effectively George Santos us.
Yeah.
He lied about Baruch and Spider-Man on Broadway. She lied about every political value she has. And that's so much worse.
And they both have a penchant for spending a lot of money on designer goods. And she likes to resell them on Facebook. She does nothing. She is, oh God, she's an empty vessel for cash. And she's such an embarrassment. I wish there was a way. And there will be a way coming up. Hello, Ruben Gallego, let's go.
Okay. What's your number two then?
Screwed-in, damn it. Screwed-in is my next, my non-swear word. My number two, and okay, let's switch it around. Let's switch around. My number two. What?
I said you're calling audibles over there? What do you got?
My number two is a senator, and he's a Democrat. And oh my God, how has he not been expelled? Bob Menendez.
Oh, yeah.
Goodbye. You need to leave immediately. And again, this is what's wild. Al Franken resigns from an inappropriate photo. Bob Menendez, second time around, how much white collar crime, basically trading for loyalty with the government of Egypt, even though he's on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, top ranking senator. And this is I mean, it is so bad. And yet he's not gonna resign. He's gonna wait and see what the charge, whether he's actually convicted. And even then, I bet you he doesn't resign. I mean, I think they're gonna have to vote him out. It's just wild. This guy, this is the second time, I guess the only senator who's been indicted twice for corruption charges. And John, what was the first one? Was it campaign stuff or was it Jersey?
Senator?
Yeah. Or was it anyway?
Senator. I mean, there's been a lot of congressmen, Cunningham.
No. I mean, Menendez, the first time he got in trouble was for some campaign finance BS in Jersey.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Bob and yeah.
But anyway,
this is the second one. I'm not sure. But look, either
he should be gone. He should be expelled. It's such a blight. It's such a stain on the Senate. And for some reason, Republicans aren't making a big deal about it. I think they should be. Yeah, super weird because they're all we also take a lot of bribes.
Yeah, they don't really want to focus on that. In the same way that a lot of them were super uncomfortable about getting rid of Santos because they also lie and they also defraud their campaign and rob it blind. So look, I'm gonna say, I don't know to what extent you go into these top 10 lists competing with me to have the better list. I have a little bit of that.
I really don't.
And normally I like to, have a little, I'm gonna just admit your list is better than mine because I guess in my mind, I had sort of just assumed, oh, he's going to be kicked out. But why am I assuming that? He very well might not be. your list is, well, you have Gosar and you have Menendez. Your list is better than mine. I'm just gonna say that.
Thank you.
But I persevere like Trump. My number 2 is going to be for alleged crimes that admittedly did not take place while he was in office. And this is the spot where Gosar should really be. But I'm gonna say Jim Jordan.
Yeah.
It is utterly unacceptable. And look, it's a little bit like Matt Gaetz, where you're gonna be a part of this political movement that's all about how the other side are groomers and predators, and you're alleged to have done this stuff. Well, Jim Jordan, there's so many witnesses that are like, he knew we were being molested and he just let it go on. And he did it in an educational environment. That's literally the thing the right says they care about, is that these damn bi and gender fluid teachers are abusing our kids by saying they're gay. He allegedly let rampant, systematic abuse go on and did nothing because he wanted to go along to get along. And he did, and it worked for him. He got into Congress. He almost became speaker. He never got a good jacket that fit him along the way. But other than that, his career has worked out the way he wanted. And he should 100% be kicked out. If they want to prove that those are actually their convictions about protecting kids, then get rid of Jim Jordan.
I agree. He should have resigned in shame. He should have been expelled at that point. They have obviously no sense of hypocrisy. They have no moral, whatchamacallit?
Cojones.
Cojones or consistency, I would say. No moral consistency whatsoever. And he can still be part of the movement, but just not as as a representative. There's something about Gosar and Jim Jordan. There's sort of Schmiegelness of even Schmiegel, arguably much more redeemable character. Just kind of the way they hunch and sort of slink and just they carry themselves around like they are kind of cretinous, guilty fraudsters.
Yeah.
But not even fraudsters, just gross people who cover up massive, sexual
looks
assault.
Like he's being crushed by his own evil.
100%.
There's a sense of that. He's got kind of a Nosferatu sort of thing going on.
Yeah, he looks possessed for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my number 2.
I think that's a great one. He almost made my list too. Number 1. I can't not. You can't spare this person. There's no way to spare them. Marjorie Taylor Greene needs to be out of office. There is no way to cut it. She has to be gone for a million things. But hey, just the most recent was bringing naked photos of Hunter Biden onto the Congress floor. That's just one of the things. Then of course, all of the anti-Semitic remarks. Yes, of course, stalking Congress people, stalking Sir David Hogg and survivors of the Parkland School massacre. All of these things before, during, and currently in office. She should be gone. Lauren Boebert can cop a feel. I don't care. I'm that's on her constituents. Marjorie Greene should absolutely be expelled, and she would be if she weren't such a high dollar fundraiser.
Yeah. I know if a right wingers watch this, be like, you just saying people you hate,
no,
people who are popular. You didn't put Lauren Boebert on your list, so you know what? Neither did I, because it ain't just about us not liking them. We have reasons for opposing, to go to this extent. And I'm even giving caveats on that. But I honestly thought after what you'd said that maybe you'd put Josh Hawley and given Marjorie Greene a pass for some reason, but you didn't. You did Marjorie Greene, and that makes 2 of us because she's my number 1 as well.
Yay.
Look. Is she alleged to have committed crimes in the same way some of these others? Perhaps not, but stay tuned. It's not like if she gets the opportunity, she's not gonna not do it. Let me just say that. Crimes against form on her pull-ups, I'll say that. But but other than that, I know they're kipping pull-ups. I don't care. It looks terrible and it's gotta be bad for you. She is she has qualities of all of the others. She is as driven by these dark tetrad qualities as Paul Gosar. She's as dumb as Gohmert. She's
so dumb.
She's got the needy try-hard media stuff of Matt Gaetz. She's as full of herself as Ted Cruz. She has all of this that all the others do. And then you throw on top, the history of anti-Semitism, the history of pushing conspiracy theories, the history of, being perfectly happy to like joke about and talk about, violence against your political opponents. Like it's this dark stew of all of these things, any one of which should make you disqualified for public service. But she's got every single one of them. She's got bingo for horrid, dumb fascism. Yeah. And so I would love to see her be kicked out. And honestly, some of these might be hard sells, but you would think that like the bullet in the brain of Nancy Pelosi stuff from before she got in, the stalking colleagues, like this is dark, twisted stuff.
We would do January 6th, but better. She said that only less than a year ago.
You're talking constantly about violence, not just against like your colleagues. You're talking about violence against them. So she should 100% be kicked out. I agree with your number one because it's my number one. But anyway,
if they had any decency, but again, it takes a George Santos to get them to that point. This was fun. I like these lists. I like this.
That's good. I like this. I had a lot of fun with it. Thank you for joining me for it, and thank you everybody out there for making this possible by being a member and making it so we can do this extra content. We very much appreciate that. So thank you. If you have any ideas for top 10 lists, you can post those down below, and we'll see you in the next one.